shoot. Hello, my name's Monica and I'm going to show you how to make a bycocket hat. You only need a few things to make a bycocket hat. First, hat blank. You can get these from Amazon very cheaply. Scissors, water, some chalk, though chalk might be optional, and most importantly, an iron with steam. Take your hat blank and you take your iron that is filled with all water and is turned up to the highest degree, and you can see, hopefully you can see the steam coming off of it. And then basically you just start ironing your hat. You want to get it as kind of hot and wet and basically steam it up a good bit. You want to get it really as malleable as you can. Just keep steaming it on the inside as much as you can. Then what you do is you take it, you put it on your head, and you pull it down and try and mash it on your head as much as you can. And you're gonna have to do this between 8 and 11 times. If you don't get it wet enough, it might be 20 times that you're gonna need to do this. But what you're doing is basically stretching the wool so that it fits your head. So just keep doing this. Keep putting more and more water and heat onto the hot hat blank until it fits your head properly. Some of the hat blanks on Amazon are pretty big, and so you're going to have to manage pulling it down a good bit more than you would with some of the smaller ones. I found that the red ones are smaller and that some of the other ones like gray and the dark blue are actually bigger than the red ones, and you have to do a little bit more management on that. So again, put it on your head and pull down repeatedly until it fits. You've got it into the position about where you want it to be, where it fits your head pretty well, is you just start folding it up. You decide where you want your point to be. This looks good. And then you just fold it up around the back. Then give it a quick press right around on the fold. Now don't worry if you fold it in the wrong spot, you can just refold it and re-iron it. Again, you want to use hot steam to get it to the position where you want it to be. Using the edge of your iron, you want to iron it down. That will help it keep its shape. Eyeball it to make sure that the folds look about right on both sides. And then just keep ironing it. You can't really ruin it at this point. See, it's got a nice fold. It's still a little bit high up here. We're going to trim that off, and then this side doesn't look quite right, but this looks pretty good from this position. Both of the folds are around at about the same angle. I've got a little bit of a lip up here to give it a little bit of the right look. And now I'm going to try. So we now have our bycocket hat basically in the form that we want. Looks pretty good. I've checked it in the mirror. We're now going to mark it with chalk. However, if you don't have any chalk, you can probably eyeball it and be okay, or use a pencil. By measuring up at the very back, 3 inches up from the back. And from there, I slope it down using chalk to the point that I want it to be at. Just kind of eyeball it at this point. It's chalk, so it will disappear with a little bit of brushing. And then I do the same on the other side. Once I have it chalked up around the sides, I then take my good scissors and start cutting. And it cuts pretty easily, so you can make a mistake here. So try and be generous at the very beginning, and you can then cut it back down later. All right, all done. First test, I'm gonna go check it in the mirror. After a quick check in the mirror, I noticed that this doesn't quite go really well. So what I'm going to do is just even this out a little bit to give it a bit of a better point. Just eyeballing it. And then also on this side, because you want it to have a pretty gradual, there we are, pretty gradual cut together. So now I take a look at it, looks pretty good. This side might need to be cut down a little bit more. So I'll do that now. And I can see I was a little bit too generous on this side. And if I had followed my chalk outline, it would have been great. It's rough. You can either try and smooth that out with a better cutting technique than what I have, or you can do what I did and cover it in a basic blanket stitch. My suggestion, I'm not going to show you how to do a blanket stitch. There are many videos on that. The only suggestion I'm going to have at this point is for you to make sure that you have enough yarn when you start your blanket stitch that you can go all the way around, as there's literally no way to really hide an additional, if you have to add more yarn later. And then finally, I was going to say, get a cute pin and some feathers, and you're ready to go. Hope you enjoyed this.